Hi Gandhi class, welcome to your second talk for writing lesson this week. Now our learning objective for our lesson today is, can I extend my sentences by using a relative clause? So today what we're going to do is make our sentences more complex and interesting by using a relative clause. Now, before we get on to what a relative clause is, just as a reminder, a main clause is a simple sentence that can stand alone. It includes a subject and a verb. So, for example, the boy walked to school. The boy is our subject and walked is our verb. Now, as a reminder as well, a verb is a doing word. It is a word that explains an action. So walked is a doing word. And the way I remember whether or not something is a verb is I ask myself if I can do it. If I can't do it, it's not a verb. Okay, so a relative clause adds further detail to a sentence by relating directly to the main clause, and it usually uses who, which, or that. For example, the boy who was feeling upset walked to school. So here you can see I've underlined in red, which was our original sentence, our main clause. So it was the boy walked to school. And then I put in who was feeling upset, and that is our relative clause. So the main clause can stand alone as a simple sentence. However, our relative clause cannot. If we just went up to someone and said who was feeling upset, that wouldn't make any sense at all. So we need to make sure that with a relative clause, it is put into our main clause. With this sentence, the boy who was feeling upset walked to school, what else do you notice? Was there anything else that was added into this sentence when we added in our relative clause? Pause the video to have a think. Okay, well done. If you got that, we also added in commas. So we put in a comma after the word just before we put in our relative clause, and then we put in a comma after our relative clause. Now, here's a helpful tip. The relative clause is usually added in after the noun, which is a person, place, or thing, or our subject, in the sentence, and before the verb. So when adding in a relative clause, you need to follow these steps. Find your noun, so the person, place, or thing. Put in a comma after your noun. Write either who, which, or that. Finish off your relative clause and put a comma at the end of your relative clause. Then write the rest of your sentence. So how can we add further detail to this sentence here? We've got the man was waiting in a queue. So first of all, we must find our subject or our noun. And for the purpose of this one, our subject or our noun is man. So we need to put a comma after man. You then need to add in who, which, or that. Put a comma at the end of your sentence using who, which, or that, and then write the rest of your sentence. So what I want for you to do now is I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to add in a relative clause to this sentence here. So remember, comma after the noun, write your relative clause using who, which, or that. Write the rest of your relative clause, put a comma at the end of it, and then write the rest of your sentence. So pause the video here to extend my sentence by adding in a relative clause. Okay, so you could have had something like the man, comma, who was a sailor, comma, was waiting in the queue. So remember, you need to have that comma after your noun. You need to have who, which, or that. Finish off your relative clause, put another comma in, and then finish off your sentence. You could have also had something like the man who was very angry was waiting in the queue. The man who was very old was waiting in the queue. Something along those lines. Let's have another go. So, the snarling beast roared with all his might. Can you find the noun or the subject of this sentence? Pause the video to have a think. Well done if you got that beast is the subject or noun of our sentence. So we need to put a comma after that. Roared is our verb. So here's our noun. Here's our verb. We need to then put in who, which, or that. Write the rest of your relative clause, put a comma at the end, and then the rest of the sentence. So pause the video here and extend my sentence by adding in a relative clause. Great work. Okay, so you could have had something like the snarling beast who had breath that smelled like rotting eggs roared with all his might. Remember, your relative clause is a sentence that can't stand alone. So if you went up to someone and said, who had breath that smelled like rotting eggs, that wouldn't make any sense at all. And that's what makes it a relative clause. Okay, let's have another go. So the girl walked into the classroom. So again, you need to find the noun, find the verb, and then put in a comma and add who, which, or that. So in this sentence, what is our noun? Pause the video to have a think. Well done if you got that. Girl is our noun. So then after girl, we put a comma in. We write who, which, or that. Write your relative clause, end the comma, and then write the rest of the sentence. So what I want you to do now is write out this sentence and extend it by using a relative clause. So pause the video here to write it down. Okay, so you could have had something like, the girl who was very excited walked into the classroom. Here is our comma. Here is our ending comma. This is our relative clause. We've used who. It's come after the noun and before the verb. Okay, your turn. I want you now to pick an activity to complete. So I've got 2 activities here and an extension, but I want you to make sure that you are choosing the activity that is appropriate for you. If you think it might be a little bit too easy, then please pick the other one. If you think it might be a little bit too difficult, then please pick the other one. You need to pick the one that is appropriate for you. So here is activity number 1. You need to write out these sentences and fill in the blank with either who, which, or that. And it needs to make sense. So here we've got the cat, comma, then you need to put who, which, or that, was old, fell asleep on the sofa. The horse, comma, then put in who, which, or that, Jayana was riding, comma, was very beautiful. The boy, comma, who, which, or that, was dressed as a superhero, comma, was going to a fancy dress party. The dog, comma, then who, which, or that, has a bone, comma, is digging a hole. So you need to make sure that you are putting in the correct conjunction. Okay, either who, which, or that, and it needs to make sense. When you are writing these out, please make sure you are using your capital letters, you are using punctuation, and that your handwriting is neat and cursive. So pause the video here if you are completing this activity. Okay, this is activity 2, and what I want you to do here is fix my boring sentences by making them more interesting. So please add in a relative clause. Now remember, for this, what you need to do is you need to first find the noun, put in a comma, use either who, which, or that, put the rest of your relative clause, put a comma after your relative clause, then write out the rest of your sentence. So I'll read the sentences to you. So you've got, my friend is brilliant at quizzes. Tommy played a game. The cat brought home a mouse. Miss Lewis ran up a hill. The footballer kicked the ball. And my sister is younger than me. And you need to put in either who, which, or that for your relative clause. Please make sure that you are using at least one of each. I don't want to see all of them being whos or all of them being whiches, all of them being that's. And also when you are writing, please make sure that you are using your capital letters in the right places, your punctuation in the right places, and that your handwriting is cursive and neat. So if you are doing activity 2, please can you pause the video here? Okay, and if you want to push yourself even further, I have an extension for you. And what I would like for you to do is write your own sentences that include a relative clause. If you could write at least one sentence for each who, which, and that, I would be very, very impressed. So please, could you try and do that if you are wanting to push yourself further? I hope that you are uploading all of your work to Tapestry, and I can't wait to see you next time, Gandhi class. Bye.